How's it going, Ram fans? Welcome back to Monday Night Sports. I'm Madeline Davis.
And I'm Ella Fredrickson, here as always to update you on how the Rams have been doing over the last couple of days. From some trouble down in Las Vegas for Coach Medved and crew,
to Cam letting you know what he thinks about a CSU legend's upcoming draft stock.
And of course, we're back with some more fun discussion and game picks for the upcoming week in Out of Pocket. All of that and more on CTV Sports, which tips off right now. Well, Rams, for our first story tonight, as weird as it is to think about at this time of the year, I'm back on the topic of CSU football. That's right, CSU football. But don't worry, we don't have to talk about this squad for too long. But still, I'm sure you're probably wondering, why are we talking about this team so early into the offseason? Well, just last week, the Rams' 2022 to 2023 schedule was fully unveiled. Just take a look right here, and with this in mind, let's dig a little deeper and see what new head man Jay Norvell is really up against in his first year in FOCO. But first, let's give you some background info. Coming into this struggling program only a few months back in early December, the former Nevada HC seemed real motivated to change this losing culture for the Rams football team from the jump, saying this place supports football, this place is committed to football, and this place wants to have a winning championship program. And okay, while that type of optimism is really great and all, it unfortunately won't last long because CSU starts things off in the big house against one of the top teams in the nation, Michigan. So needless to say, my prediction for the outcome of this one will probably not change come August, but regardless, heading into the big house to take on one of the most dominant teams from last season, making it a fun test for the young Rams squad nonetheless. They really have nothing to lose, so it's not like I'll be upset if they take the L, which I can almost guarantee that they will. And looking down the schedule sheet a little bit further, come early October, the Green and Gold goes on the road to take on the Nevada Wolfpack for another conference matchup. But more importantly, this marks Jay Norvell's return to Reno to take on the team he left in the dust just a few months ago. And when you look at this one from solely CSU's perspective, the 42-point dub that Nevada put on the Rams to end out the season isn't exactly an encouraging sign towards a different result this time around. But with Steve Adazio finally out of the picture, I believe any miracle is possible for this squad, which, yes, does include a revenge game against a Wolfpack program that's, to put it bluntly, lost a lot of talent since we saw them last. And man, going through this game by game would be tiring. And as hard as I try to break it down what to look forward to in the fall, you know what they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And that's the exact approach that this new coaching staff took for their first schedule reel. Just check this out.
Here we go. Week 10, going to get the boot.
Can't draw straight.
Week 11, Air Force Academy.
Yikes.
It's like a slice of pizza. Week 12, we got New Mexico.
2022 schedule. 1, 2, 3, go Rams!
Now, as much as I would like to say I'm not a bad artist, I think most of them did a better job than I would have done with those logos. And with the border war returning to canvas this year and not having to face off against the defending champions, SDSU, this is a season that I'm actually looking forward to for once. Wow, it is weird to say those words when talking about our football team.
And okay, enough with CSU football. Let's get back to our bread and butter, Rams hoops. After what had been arguably their hottest streak of the season up to this point, CSU continued their extended road trip out west to take on the UNLV Rebels on Saturday night. The team who, yes, gave the Rams their first and so far only loss at Moby a couple weeks ago. And sure, while I think most of us were expecting the Rams to bounce back and get some revenge down at the Thomas and Mack Center after Bryce Hamilton completely annihilated CSU the last time out, that was far from the case in this one. With things following an even worse script for the Rams, coming up short once again to the running Rebs, 51-72. Like I said, things seem to follow the same story as last time, with CSU simply unable to stop the Rebels' offense all night. And sure, while the Rams did do a better job at keeping Bryce Hamilton at bay, they just couldn't seem to stop the rest of the squad from making bucket after bucket. But even with this in mind, the Rams' 11-point deficit at the half was at least better than the 18 points that they had down here last month. And once again, things got even more out of hand in a hurry, with the Rebs upping their advantage to 20 thanks to a 3-for-3 mark from downtown to open up the second half. And the Rams' problems definitely didn't stop there. Not only could the green and gold not get a stop to save their lives, absolutely nothing was falling in favor of CSU either. And I get it. I know Nico Medved said no excuses, but you have to wonder if 5 cities in 12 days, travel troubles in New Mexico, and the lack of a shoot-around in Vegas beforehand led to some of these struggles. With all of that moving around, I feel like this game was bound to happen eventually. And moving on to the stats, the Rams really seemed to struggle in every possible category on Saturday night, even the ones that they're known for dominating in. Like their field goal shooting percentage was at a shockingly low 34.6, and don't even get me started on beyond the arc, which was even worse at 22.7. All of this seems a little uncharacteristic for the team leading the Mountain West in three-point percentage and points scored per game. But it just seemed like that kind of night, I guess. And the uncharacteristic night for the green and gold can be further seen in the individual numbers. CSU was led in scoring by junior point guard Isaiah Stevens, who put up 14 points, which isn't that bad, I guess, but it hardly compares to the 35 he put on the board last time these two teams met. And then there's everyone's favorite former football player, David Roddy, who only scored 11 points and went for a shockingly bad 4 for 14 on field goals. That's right, 28%. To put this in perspective, this man is averaging 57% on the season. And the struggles didn't stop there. The bench, which has been a huge factor in the success of the squad as of late, when it combined 3 for 10 to only score 7 points on the night. Needless to say, the Rams need way more from their role players. With the loss last night and an SDSU win, CSU is now sitting at 4th in the Mountain West with a 21-4 overall mark, and all 4 of those losses came in conference play. But to look on the bright side for a sec, the Rams will at least finally get a little bit of rest before perhaps the biggest game of their season when the border war continues here in FOCO this Wednesday evening at 7. Let's hope the Rams can bounce back and take that much-needed dub. Well, Ella, I don't know about you, but this was, it was a little disappointing, but I wouldn't say that it was unexpected. I think it just happened to happen against UNLV.
Yeah, usually we see at least one shining star in our CSU basketball games. You know, someone comes up big, rebounds, no turnovers, but this one was just an overall mess. And I honestly do think it was because they were tired. They needed a break
so
before
tired.
This game.
Well, and they were originally supposed to have a bye week, but then because of COVID issues, they got scheduled in Boise and New Mexico back to back, and so I think it was just a lot.
I think we'll see a completely different team against Wyoming
after
they have a couple days rest.
For sure, yeah.
And on to some more hoops news. The Lady Rams traveled to Reno yesterday to take on a worthy opponent, the Nevada Wolfpack. And although the green and gold proved themselves against this team earlier in the season, being on less familiar turf always adds an extra obstacle. But even with this added challenge, the now 18-7 green and gold came out hot. And when I say hot, I mean dropping 20 in the first quarter alone. Not to mention that 12 of those points were from downtown, and they also held Nevada to a single-digit 8-point opening. But would you even be a Ram fan if there wasn't extreme emphasis on the sweat and tears? Just when everything seemed to be working smoothly, it wasn't anymore. But with it being this late in the season and the conference tourney just around the corner, a win is a win. With CSU finishing at the buzzer up 7 to take the dub 62-55. And more importantly, if it were to come into play, this W gives the Rams that tiebreaker over the Wolfpack in the Mountain West standings, thanks to beating Nevada earlier on this year as well. But as the final score indicates, in the following second and third quarters, CSU just got outscored, and badly, I might add, putting them down with less than 4 left to play. So where did we take the game back, you might ask? Well, with an Upe Atasu breakaway, which tied things at 53, followed by scores by Kendall Kinzer and, of course, McKenna Hofschild, who closed things out the right way. And speaking of our favorite stars for this team, let's get into the number side of things. The glue of this game, Atasu led the scorers with a solid 18, while Kinzer and Hofschild were right behind her with 14 and 10 respectively. And on the other side, you already know that down low, Carly Murphy would come through, putting in another 11 boards to help out. And dribbling over to the overall marks, CSU shot an inconsistent 40% rate, but luckily enough, the Rams were able to balance this out by holding Nevada to an even lower 31. But through all of this, my favorite stat from the game has to be a brutal 31 turnovers combined between the two, with 16 of which actually coming from the winning squad. Following this inconsistent dub, the Lady Rams returned to Moby on Thursday evening to take on the San Diego State Aztecs. And in this one, I'm just hoping that there will be some revenge basketball played so that the green and gold can avenge the L they just took last month down in Vejas.
After all that basketball talk, let's just dive right in and see what the CSU Swim and Dive team were up to down in Texas this past week at the Mountain West Championships. To kick things off, the Rams started the meet on the right foot by breaking a school record in the 800-meter relay with a time of 7:14.08, which shaved 1.89 seconds off their previous top mark and placed the Rams in 4th overall for the field. And moving on to later in the competition and onto the board, freshman Lindsay Gizzy competed in what she said was her least favorite event, the 3-meter. Now, obviously, as you'll see with the results, the young diver didn't let this discomfort stop her from performing her best, going on to score a 3:17.60 in the qualifiers to lead her to the final, where she demolished her previous personal best with a 3:38.0, which also secured the second best mark in CSU history for the 3-meter. And the success for the Rams didn't stop there, as they ended the championships just how they started things off, breaking another school record in the 400-yard freestyle relay with a time of 3:21.59, which broke a record that was set all the way back in 1994, back when 6-time Olympic gold medalist and arguably CSU's best athlete of all time, Amy Van Dyken, was still on campus. Here's what team member and junior swimmer Sarah Mundy had to say about shattering Van Dyken's mark. It's unbelievable what she's been able to accomplish, and I think it's a huge honor that we're able to continue the CSU legacy of improving times. With all these brand new bests, the Rams finished out the meet in 5th place for the 3rd consecutive year with a total of 760 points. And looking at the overall season for a sec, the Rams finished an amazing 14-0 and should be incredibly proud of how they performed. They'll look to keep this momentum up next season and of course improve on that 5th place finish come next year. And with that, Rams, now it's time for a very quick break.
When we come back, Cam breaks down the NFL draft odds for one of our favorites here on campus. You won't want to miss it.